Most people have it backwards when it comes to soil pH and weeds. They think lime kills broadleaf weeds, but it doesn't. What soil pH really controls is whether your Kentucky bluegrass roots develop strong enough to crowd everything else out. And that single factor decides whether weeds take over your lawn or get suppressed by dense turf. Let's look at how this actually works. The root of the problem. Drop your soil pH below 5.5 and something underground shifts immediately. Aluminum becomes soluble and toxic, no longer locked away in inert compounds, but free to cause damage. And when it reaches that toxic form, the Al3+ attacks root cells at the growing tip, stops cell division, and literally stunts root growth before it even begins. Your Kentucky bluegrass roots physically cannot penetrate as deep or spread as wide. And here's the critical part. It's not that the grass is inherently weak. The soil itself is actively blocking root development at the cellular level. Understanding this mechanism changes everything. Your Kentucky bluegrass needs soil pH between 6.0 and 7.2 to develop a strong and healthy root system, with Penn State Extension pinpointing 6.5 to 7.2 as the optimal range for this species. Below that window, and you lose both root depth and vigor. But if you push above 7.5, a different problem emerges. Iron chlorosis develops as interveinal yellowing spreads across the leaves, and the grass struggles in an entirely different way. Why this matters for weeds? Kentucky bluegrass has one superpower that sets it apart from almost every other turf grass. It spreads by rhizomes, which are underground stems that connect new grass plants into one unified self-healing sod. When KBG is healthy with good root development, it builds a thick turf mat that shades and crowds out weed seedlings before they can establish themselves. And that dense turf is precisely what prevents broadleaf weeds from gaining any foothold. Here's where it breaks down. When your soil pH drops and aluminum becomes toxic, your KBG roots stay shallow instead of driving deep. The turf thins out, and thin turf is essentially an open invitation for any weed that floats by. What the weeds are really telling you. You spot red sorrel in your lawn and immediately assume the pH is too low, or you see plantain, chickweed, and moss, and think these indicator weeds prove your soil is acidic and hostile. Red sorrel does thrive below pH 6.0, and yes, plantain, chickweed, and moss all appear in stressed, thin turf under low pH conditions. But here's the thing that changes everything. Those weeds aren't the cause of the problem. They're the symptom, the visible result of what's already happened. And they're growing in thin turf because the turf is thin, not because the pH is low. The low pH caused the turf to thin in the first place by stunting grass roots, which means the weeds came after, not before. So when you see indicator weeds, you're looking at proof of thin turf, not proof that lime will kill them. How pH adjustment actually works. This is where the frustration sets in for most people. Lime does not kill existing weeds, and I need to be absolutely clear about that before anything else. What lime actually does over the course of several months is raise your soil pH and remove the aluminum toxicity that was blocking root development. Once your pH climbs back into the 6.0 to 7.0 range, your Kentucky bluegrass roots can develop normally again. The turf gets noticeably thicker, and that dense grass crowds out weed seedlings before they can get established. Now, here's the reality. Lime takes several months to shift pH, and sometimes it takes even longer than that. Sulfur to lower pH moves slower still and only works in soils that aren't calcareous, which means in many areas it's essentially useless. You won't see dramatic weed death happening overnight, and that's not how this works. What you will see is denser grass gradually filling in and fewer new weeds establishing themselves over the course of a season or more. Where to start? Start with a soil test from your university lab, and most of them cost between $8 and $20, which is worth every penny compared to guessing. That test tells you your actual pH and whether lime, sulfur, or nothing at all makes sense for your situation. Do not lime speculatively, and do not guess at application rates without that data. If your pH sits below 5.8 and you're growing Kentucky bluegrass, then yes, a lime application makes sense and you should do it. Follow the soil test recommendation on application rate and never exceed 100 pounds per 1,000 square feet in a single application on established turf, because more isn't better and can actually backfire. Plan on waiting several months for pH to shift and expect a full season or more before you see real turf response. Here's what most people miss. If your pH is already in the 6.0 to 7.0 range and you still have broadleaf weeds, the limiting factor isn't pH, it's shade, compaction, poor drainage, or low nitrogen fertility, and those problems need different solutions. Aerate your lawn, improve your drainage, and feed the grass with proper fertilizer, and you'll often see better weed suppression from those actions than from any pH chasing. The bottom line: soil pH doesn't fight weeds directly, and that's the critical misunderstanding most people have. What pH does do is set the stage for your grass to actually win the competition. And when you get the pH right, your roots can grow deep and thick. The dense turf you build becomes what crowds weeds out, not some special property of the pH itself. So test first, adjust if the data tells you to adjust, and then focus everything on growing the thickest, healthiest Kentucky bluegrass stand you possibly can. That's where your real weed defense actually lives. Thanks for watching Turf Talk. See you on the next video.